All right, hello everybody, and welcome to Horizon Overwatch Scrim Night. Yes, it is that time again. It is Tuesday. Today we are very excited to bring you going to be pretty interesting scrims. It's always going to be interesting if it's going to be starting on King's Row, and that's exactly where we're starting today. My name is Argoner, and as always, I'm accompanied by my wonderful co-host Dancer.
I'm really excited for this. I mean, it's NA Scrim, so you know there's got to be some sort of change up or something going on last minute. We had a lot of no-shows on the other team, but thankfully Julian, who's the captain, figured something out. We got another Scrim almost instantly, and now we're ready to go. And like you said, you know it's going to be a good day when you're starting on King's Row. King's Row is the map for Scrims.
Yeah, King's Row is always a fun one, and let's take a look at what we're seeing here. So we've got Quasar sitting up on defense first. They're going to be the blue team. Starting off on defense, we do have, I mean, this is what we expect to see every time we see King's Row. We do have a Reinhardt, which is going to be Julian on the main tank. Joey's going to be following up on Zarya, which is going to be the off tank, and that's what we expect to see every single time that we go to King's Row. It's a very good map for that. There are a lot of different directions, a lot of different ways you can approach this map here. What I would expect to see, just knowing how Quasar likes to play, is a very aggressive approach. The moment that the enemy team walks in past that gate, you should expect to see Quasar walk right into them and try to get kills. Doors opening right now, and let's see what we have.
And there's always that extra hint of aggression when team's running a Lucio and the other team isn't. So, like you said, we should expect to see a big speed boost into the team and hit them like a hammer.
All right, so the enemy team is trying to establish a little bit of space here, and I'm surprised Julian's not being more aggressive. He is getting healed up, and he was slow, and now he's all the way back, almost to full here, so it's not really going to help too much because the rest of his team is getting picked off. I'm not really sure if that was just, lack of aggression coming in. There was an opportunity for Quasar to be able to go in and confirm some kills there, but it just seems like the attack was too strong for them, a little bit too aggressive there, a few picks coming in, so it's going to be a full reset and a very quick capture on point A.
Yeah, I feel like Quasar didn't have that much shield pressure here because they were running the McCree instead of maybe something else. Whereas on the Capybera's side, they had the Roadhog, who's just pounding into the shield the whole time. Junkrat, if you're shooting shield, it means you're not getting any team damage in.
Just like that, it looks like we have the first two picks coming in on both of the healers. Flutter's getting a kill of his own, and now we have a third kill coming in. This is going to be a full team wipe here, and very smartly, the Cabyberas are pulling back to their spawn. They don't want to be caught out. They don't want to feed any more ultimate charge to the enemy team. Now, taking a look at the ultimate distribution, we do have two ultimates coming in for the side of Quasar. The Moira ultimate and the Tire. You should expect to see that Tire popping out very quickly. I know Luna, especially on King's Row, very strong Junkrat play, and exactly like I expected to see. You should be seeing that Junkrat Tower coming out essentially on cooldown, getting the first pick onto the Tracer. Very hard to do with that recall, but it was not timed correctly. This is going to be a very difficult fight for the Cabyberas to win. They are going to try to make it work here. You're down one, but you've got to try to make something happen. And Period with that switch onto the Bear, it looks like it's making a lot of difference here. Getting a kill, but now the Graviton Surge comes in. 3 kills coming in, 4 kills, make that 5. The Dragon Blade sealing the deal. And what started as a very confident pick that came in from that Tire completely collapsed for Quasar. They got caught in the Graviton Surge. It looked like they might be able to get out of their Dancer, but then everybody just got sucked in. So much damage was pumped into the Grav, and then of course the Genji Blade to end it off at the end.
Yeah, really smart play by Jamerson, just staying aggressive. He knew they had no Tracer, but you don't always need that Tracer bomb to make your ult worth it with Zarya. So he got in, he got a really big ult, and actually caught Little Spoon out during
Fury with a giant barrage here. He actually got 2 kills there. I was not expecting that. And not only did the 2 kills come in, but very quickly the rest of the team walked in, got the kills to follow up on that Farah barrage. So what we've seen so far, Dancer, is we're seeing, and of course, sorry to interrupt you, but Imperi was just not going to be waiting for anything there. Knew he wanted to get that barrage off. So we're seeing these very, very swingy moments. Generally, what you see is, on an attack as strong as the Capyberas had on the very first point, you typically see more of a snowball type effect, but we've been seeing teamfights going back and forth. Luna coming in, getting ready for another Junkrat Tire, kills being traded back and forth. It's tough to say who's going to be picking this one up. It might be relying completely on Luna dropping this Tire into the enemy team.
And we're seeing ults just come out on cooldown. Anyone that has an ult on either side is using it as soon as they can. And that's not to say they have a bad ult economy. That just means they're playing really aggressively, and I like it. It's the way that King's Row was meant to be played.
All right, Luna was not able to get that tire off, did get bombed by the enemy Tracer. It pops the tire from spawn. Hopefully we can get there in time. We got 2 seconds left. You're going to be able to get a kill. Somehow gets a kill on the enemy Tracer. Trading ult for ult, trading kill for kill. And it looks like this is going to be another moment for Quasar to walk in and hopefully get some picks. But I speak too soon because now we've got Cabyberas coming in, getting 2 kills of their own, responding. And it looks like they might be able to cap the point here. Flutter very smartly gets out of dodge, saves his beat because he knew there was no way to save his team. No way to stop that snowball that was coming in, especially with 100 energy Zarya. What we see right here, Jameson has so much energy with the Graviton Surge. You know, if this Graviton Surge is used correctly, you don't even need anything else to combo with it. 100 energy Zarya can do more than enough damage on her own, and let's see how they choose to use it coming into the second attack. This is a crucial point. If you get stopped here as attack, it is very easy for the defense to get a hold of this corner and stop you from making any more pushes in the future.
And both Zaryas are taking so long to pop their ults. We're going to have to see one of them get aggro very, very soon because all the other ults are coming online so fast. All either team had was the Zarya ult, but it looks like Imperi's pick-off is kind of paying off.
Nobody's ready for all the damage that's coming in with a flying Graviton Surge. Jameson is able to get at least 2, 3, but then Joey says, no thank you, and the G-Man comes in with the 2K. This might be enough for the Cabyberas to be able to confirm this point right now, but they need to continue staggering kills to stop the defense, because the defense is going to be responding with plenty of time. As long as somebody can touch here, the other 5 should be able to get to the point in time. 0.53 meters because somebody was able to touch, but then Bartletta comes in with the 2K. That is going to be it for the Cabyberas. Very, very strong performance there. The only thing that I was a little bit surprised to see, I know you mentioned it earlier, Dancer, is the lack of aggressive Graviton Surge. We did see when there was a perfect opportunity for the Grav. You know, Jameson was able to throw it in there, and then G-Man was able to follow up with the Tracer Bomb. But something we've said many times before, it was said a little bit earlier in the cast as well, you don't always need to get that 6-man Grav, you know, plus the Tracer Bomb, full team wipe. That's great if you do, but so many more times it's much more useful to, you know, get 2, 3, maybe 4, and a lot of times you can just pump out enough damage even without ultimates. And the great part about that, Dancer, is if you're not using additional ultimates, everyone who's doing damage is just building up to their next ult. So, you know, kind of walk me through your thought process as a Zarya. Do you like that more passive way that they were taking the Graviton Surge?
Definitely not. I mean, both Zaryas, I had mentioned it, both Zaryas, the only ultimates they had up was the Graviton. So I would have liked to see someone go aggressive, and even if you lose the fight, like we said, as long as you're not committing 2 ults, then you're gonna gain the ult economy. So if either team had popped the ult, walked in, and just did damage, the defense had 2 fights left, and offense, as long as they have more than a minute, they of course have more than 1 fight left. So either way, if either team was the one to go aggressive, it would have paid off in the ult economy game. But what we saw instead was kind of this stagger pickoff fight where the first team to get a pickoff was Quasar, who traded for McCree, and then unfortunately Julian got a little bit aggro, got punished, and then the trade-off game started happening, and an ult didn't come out until it was 4-4, instead of building those ults in that economy earlier.
Absolutely, and keep your eye on Imperi here. Imperi plays Doomfist. I'm not going to give away the strategy that Quasar brings to the table here, but watch out for this Doomfist because he should be able to open the fight if everything goes to plan. If G-Man's not able to get that pick very quickly, he is looking for it, but looks like the entire team is passing by the whole time he was waiting.
Oh no!
The luckiest charge or the unluckiest charge, depending on who you ask there. Julian with the completely calculated 200 IQ pin takes out that Tracer who was looking to take out Mercy. So heads up play by Julian by being lucky in the right place at the right time. Kills are being traded back and forth. Now Doomfist is getting a pick. The res comes in. We're now talking about a 6v4. I don't know the Cabyberas are going to be able to hold this one here, especially if they continually get taken out by Imperi with that rocket punch. So exactly like I mentioned, what you want to watch with Doomfist here is Doomfist typically opens up the point. You know the enemy team's going to have a Reinhardt. You know they're going to have some tank play. So you use that Doomfist to punch the Reinhardt or uppercut the Reinhardt, do something to displace him so his shield is not protecting his team, then you follow in with all the damage, and that's exactly what happened here. Of course, with that lucky pick that came in on G-Man on the Tracer very early, that certainly helped, but I think Imperi was doing enough, judging by his ultimate, to show why Doomfist is such a good pick here. Now he's back in again, looking to use that Meteor Strike. He wants to get at least a 1K, maybe a 2K. Can he get a 3K?
No! Let's go, Imperi showing us how to pull out the Doomfist. Wow, that was just absolutely perfect play, and we saw the team supporting him. Joey, the thing is, the scary thing about running the Doomfist Rein is you only have one Zarya bubble, so you have to pick and choose who your resource goes on to. Clearly, Imperi called for it. He had his ult to get out safely, so he just uses all of his abilities to put damage on the enemy team and single-handedly gets a team wipe. So big. I love that.
And now you're facing down a 350 HP Doomfist right now. It doesn't really matter. You know, you take a look at that Doomfist, you want to stop him, but then Luna comes in getting a 3K, including both of the healers. So that's what makes it so great when you have a smart game plan. You open up with the Doomfist, you do as much work as possible, and the moment the enemy team starts looking at you and sending all of their resources just to kill you, then your Pharah walks in for free, gets as much damage as she needs, and then pops off just like that.
And that's the one thing you gotta be scared of. They lost the ult economy there. The Cabybera is coming back, and they had 5 ults up. Everything except Barletta had their ults, so I mean, it's gonna be a hard fight to win. They tried to stay aggressive, which is the only way you're gonna sort of buy the space to get cart to that tick for free. Not a horrible spot to be in. You need to take one fight, push the rest of the cart, but Capiberas definitely have a chance to stabilize this defense now.
Especially if G-Man continues to play like that. Getting a 3-man bomb. Yes, there was a Zarya Graviton surge, but a lot of times there's so many shields in your way you can't do it. And then Imperi responds with a 3K of his own, taking out both the healers just like that. 5 members of Capiberas are down. Looks like Joey is going to be taken down as well, but it doesn't really matter because now he's been res. And there's 6 more on the card. That's going to be an easy team cap. The only thing that should be said there was, you know, Zarya was taken out, Joey was taken out. He does have 50% to ultimate, but he does not have any energy right now. So this is going to be a very hectic fight. It's a 5v5. Joey with 51% to his ultimate, but no energy working for him. And then you've got 2 support ultimates coming in from the Capiberas. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they choose to use this. Looks like Reinhardt's going to be getting the nano boost. And now he just walks in, but he gets taken down. Oh my goodness. With the punch. Okay, this is why Imperi is so crucial to this. The Reinhardt was charging and Imperi was able to get the rocket punch off, knock him down, phase him for long enough that the nano boost really didn't have too much of an impact. Walks in, gets a kill onto the Reinhardt that he knocked out, and then another kill onto the Zenyatta. Kills being traded back and forth, but again, because the Doomfist is doing so much damage, he's being so aggressive, Luna is able to just essentially kill for free. Even if anybody focuses down this Pharah, sorry about your luck, there's also a Mercy attached to that Pharah, so it's going to be very difficult to take out both of the DPS here.
And the Reinhardt joins the Mile High Club as he tries to ult. Flutter pushes him up, gives him the time to sort of focus him and get in position to make his shatter not effective. Really big play here. Quasar really seems to be playing as a unit.
Yeah, they came in with a very specific game plan, and they weren't really concerned about what the enemy team had waiting for them. They came in with that Doomfist, with the pharmacy, and said, this is the game we're running right now. You better respond to it or get out of our way. And we saw exactly how that went down. Now we are seeing one heck of a stall. There's been about a minute wasted off the clock, almost a minute wasted off the clock, just because of the stall. Diva's in now, but now she's getting booped out. The payload is still not moving. There is so much stall here. This is a huge deal because if we're going specifically by time bank, it looks like Quasar might not be able to defeat what the Capiberas were able to pull up. Or I'm sorry, we're able to put up here. This might be the mightiest stall of all time. So many people keep touching the point at the very last second. No matter how many kills Quasar is getting, they cannot stave off this stall.
I just don't know what to say. It looks like there's infinite members. The stall coming out perfectly, just very well coordinated to make sure only one person is on card at a time. And the focus fire just doesn't seem to be there. It feels like they've gotten 2 or 3 full team regroups. Quasar doesn't want to go give up this fight though.
that might seal the deal because Joey just got booped off by the enemy team's Lucio. That is a huge deal because now you're fighting, you know, this giant Saul. It's been going on for over a minute now, but you don't have your Zarya there, so you're essentially fighting 5v6. Now your Bear is out. Maybe Zarya's getting back, but this team has showed that they will not get off the payload. Please, 3.54 meters, get it there. End this round or else you're going to be taken out.
And this is the reason why you never give up in a ladder match. Stalls like this just make the game seem hilarious, where it seems impossible to actually finish a point with those respawns.
Fantastic beat coming in from Flutter. He bought his team enough time to be able to build their ultimates. They were able to push the card another 0.8 meters, which normally I would not be excited about, but in a fight like this, 0.8 meters is everything. They do that a couple more times, so they're going to have to win here. We're down to a minute left on the clock. Doesn't really matter how much damage they're pumping out because they just won't stop respawning. 0.56 meters left. Please let them cap it.
And it looks like Berletta's about to get his second blade of the stall. This has just been the longest, craziest fight I think we've ever seen. He's just got to stay topped up. Oh, he gets the help from the gets the blade off. This could be really big trouble for Quasar.
Well, he does come off. He was topped up by his warrior with that coalescence. He was able to get 2 kills there, but it is still hugely in favor of Quasar. This has been a 2-minute stall. If you're counting from home, it has been 2 minutes. Mercy's been taken out in this fight. Everybody on Quasar, I think, has died at least once. Maybe some of the DPS have been staying up, but there's been so many deaths on Quasar's side, and they're still fighting on this.
And I think the trade-outs 2 for 1 with this defensive spawn work out. It looks like they're starting to stabilize. They have numbers, and if Quasar doesn't get a lot of picks very soon, they could be in trouble.
Luna's trying to make it happen right now, getting a 3K, taking D.Va out of mech. D.Va is still alive, but she's taken out by Julian, and finally the point is capped after one of the most incredible stalls that I have ever seen, not just, you know, on Horizon Overwatch, ever, in any of my games, in any professional match. I've never seen such an incredible stall. You know, when it comes to scrims, we don't play the maps out. We're not really worried about, you know, who's going to win. What we're more worried about is how people execute, and what we saw there was Quasar was able to be so confident coming out with that Doomfist and the pharmacy. There was really no answer that the Cabyberas had available to stop it. But then you have to give all the credit in the world for that incredible stall defense. If this was a ladder match, you know, that I would feel like a winner just after that stall. I mean, such resilience.
No words can describe it. Like you said, that defense in itself was a stall. When Quasar should have put the point in, they were very close. They were less than a meter away. The time was 3:17 for the enemies, and I think 3:06 for them. Got it all the way down to under a minute. So more than a 2-minute stall on that point. So massive, just slowly coming out. Berletta got 2 blades in 1 stall. The healers coming out, doing what they can. Tanks felt like they were always there. That was just so massive. Like, I would feel so helpless as Quasar. Just, you killed 3 and there's 3 more still there. And it felt infinite.
Now, typically we don't see teams do the same side of the map multiple times. Assist scrims, we're just trying to get better, but I do like what I'm seeing here because Quasar is trying a very interesting strat. The Maywall comes out to give positioning to the Orisa and the Bastion. Nobody sees them coming. It's the surprise factor. And look at all of this space on the point they're getting for free because of that Maywall. Now, let's see if they can actually get any kills with it. The first kill is coming out. Luna Moon is taken out, and Perry's able to get the kill onto the Reinhardt, who charged him into the wall, was not able to confirm the kill. Kills are being traded back and forth. They've got 20 seconds left for Quasar to be able to cap this one. I think they can if the kills keep going in their way, but somebody's got to stop, you know, the Cabybera. We have seen how strong they are at stalling. This might be another one of those moments.
Yeah, they don't have the spawn advantage, but they are doing really good at kiting the Bastion. Unfortunately, when you're kiting someone, you aren't defending the point. So Quasar does get the point relatively free after Reinhardt is taken out there. That was a really interesting strategy. Like you said, the Maywall hidden, used to hidden and protect the Bastion, the Bastion positioning. And Orisa's trying to body block as much as possible. When you do body block, you do block your own teammates' sightlines. But you, as Orisa, you have that shift ability, the halt, which can stop a Reinhardt pin, which can kind of stop a lot of damage that's going to come through the shield and try and take out the Bastion. So we definitely see what the setup here is. It's protect El Presidente, and with the May buff, she's kind of included in this comp now.
Now, this is going to be very tough for Quasar. This is an uphill battle here because the enemy team has about 4 ultimates coming in here. Mercy's already popped hers, but then 2 kills go on the way. Joey's picking off that baby diva, so this is going to be huge. If G-Man is able to get some sort of position here to get a high noon, he needs at least 2, 3, maybe even 4 kills. Can't even get the first one onto the Lucio. Did not have enough bullets left in his gun. Lucio makes it out with 1 HP. Imperia is now blasting away with those rockets from the Bastion tank form. Let's see if there's going to be another stall coming up here. We have the second point coming online, and it's going to be a little bit tough, though, because the overtime respawn timer gets longer and longer as overtime continues on. So whoever's getting the first pick in these fights moving forward is going to be at a huge advantage over the team, over the enemy team.
And it was really interesting. We saw that Bastion wasn't hidden in the shield from the hit scan, and they still couldn't do enough damage with these massive heals. The Moira just can pocket so well.
Brian Chatter comes in. Is he going to be able to do anything with it? The first kill does come in, and that's on Flutter. That is a huge deal. Flutter had his Lucio beat available, but was not able to pop it before he was hammered down. Now we're getting kills being traded back and forth. This is going to be very interesting to see who is able to outlast the others. We know how strong Cabyberas can be at outlasting the opponent, but with a Moira, you're not really pumping out enough damage. But then, of course, G-Man comes in, getting 2 kills, following up on all that Moira damage. All she needs to do is stay alive here. Throwing out those healing orbs is so crucial. You're doing 300 HPS over the life of that orb, and that's on a pretty short cooldown. She already has another one coming on, so this is so much stalling power, but can any damage come in behind it? That's the question. Flashy is doing so much work trying to keep the team up, but it's not enough people are dying.
Yeah, it's so unfortunate. As soon as you kill the Bastion, you feel like the comp should work out and you should win the sustain. But Quasar's doing really good. The Diva just lasting forever. Joey was undislodgeable. Bought time for the respawn.
And there you have it. The damage finally arrives. G-Man is able to get 2, 3, make it 4 kills, closing it out for his team. What an incredible run there. And I'm a huge fan of that Bastion strat. You don't see it too much. It's very high risk, high reward, but here's the great thing about it. If you're attacking on point A and you realize that the Bastion strat is not working out, right? The enemy team has your number. They're in a position to, not really care about the space you're taking because they're pumping so much damage into you that, walking forward is just killing your Bastion. The great thing is when you're doing something like that on attack, your spawn is right there. You have all the time in the world to change up your strategy depending on what the enemy is doing. So it is high risk, high reward, but if it doesn't work out for you, you do have the option. You still have some time to change it up.
And the funny thing there is we saw the Cabyberas pulling out the double hit skin. That was in anticipation of the first comp that Quasar had run there, because they had run the Pharmacy along with the Doomfist. Both those characters are very, very weak to hit scan. Obviously, the Pharah, you can use the sight lines, you can pump damage into her. She doesn't have much shielding or much support from her tank line up in the air, so you can just double hit scan her down. Same thing with the Doomfist. The idea with him is you just pressure him well on the approach and do a lot of damage before he gets to you. So his burst damage is much less valuable because you have more sustain and you have more time to actually kill him. And then they pull out this strat where hit scan's not very effective at all against it, which was just it was a big game of chess where I'm not sure if the anticipation was there, knowing that they would want to go double hit scan to counter the original comp, but that's definitely what happened, and it helped Quasar's comp be so effective in that first fight.
It was certainly a consideration. This is going to be very difficult for Flutter. He is on the Zenyatta on defense, and the entire enemy team is on a hard dive. So this is going to be how quickly can the attacking team walk in and take out the enemy team's Zenyatta. Currently, he hasn't taken any damage in this fight, so it looks like the Zenyatta is going to be here to stay. First 2 kills coming in from your tanks. That's exactly what you want to see from your Reinhardt and your Zarya. You want to see them pumping out as much damage as possible, especially with Zarya, who's able to get so much energy. Any Zarya who's over even 60 plus energy is pretty scary, but 80 plus, 90 plus, up to 100 energy Zarya, she's going to be doling out a lot more damage than most DPS in the game.
And that hurts on the disengage. You're just healing up your teammate. You get hit with the fire strike. You had no one to suck the life out of to top you up, and Now we're going to see Quasar going aggressive here, pushing the advantage. They know they don't have Moira.
They know they don't have the Moira. If you're going to win a fight, this is the time to do it. Moira's already back, and she's coalescing you. If you were going to win that fight, it had to happen within a couple of seconds there. Was not able to happen, but then Imperi says, no thank you, I'm going to get a 4K of my own, save this push, save my team, and save the point.
And Imperi, I think this is the second time he's pulling out the massive team kill. First time with the Doomfist. We watched it. Second time, that Diva Bomb got it right over the wall on a good angle and finished that fight up. That was really risky. I mean, like we said, if you're gonna push, you want to push when that Moira's down because you're gonna have such a big sustain advantage when you have a Moira and they don't. But unfortunately, her spawn's right there. She comes back in 10 seconds, pops the ult, and just instantly destroyed Julian. Very close fight there. That was Capybera's one of their better chances. They're going to have to get some good ult economy out with this Genji blade to see any results here.
Fantastic Zenyatta play that we just saw by Flutter. He was able to force G-Man to use his recall, so the Tracer was completely irrelevant in that fight. She had to pull out. No recall. That's not a Tracer who's going to be pushing. Another kill comes in, so it looks like this might be another full hold that for a moment because a 2K comes in, if you include the Diva Met, which of course I do because Baby Diva is traditionally useless in every comp that you're trying to run. Now the Baby Diva is down. This is going to be very difficult for anybody to be able to stall out. Flutter does pop the trance, trying to save his Reinhardt, but you know, Reinhardt got bombed by that Tracer bomb. It's very difficult to get him topped off quickly enough so that he's not able to succumb to the burst damage of the bomb. Turns out he is in the end, but now we only have 30 seconds left. Now what we saw when Quasar was pushing it with, you know, in overtime, they had the Bastion set up. They actually didn't even really have any ults available on the attack. They were just able to pump out that damage with the Bastion. If you're going to be running dive, that's very difficult to do if you have a payload that needs to be touched. That means you're going to be running a dive with 5 people. If Quasar's smart, they're going to be trying to pull this fight away from the cart as much as possible to make that Zenyatta completely irrelevant. If he has no sightlines, he can't do any work.
So true. One of the benefits to the Bastion strat was to keep him on cart.
And Flutter takes out the ulting Genji with a kick. No thank you. Have a seat, Barletta. I'm not having any of it. This looks like it might be going in the way of Quasar. Yeah, now we've got all the kills coming through right now. Looks like this is going to be overtime, running out with a 5-4 victory. Give it to Quasar, and the most crucial part is which of Imperi's wonderful... We didn't even get to see him play the game!
Oh, Imperi's crying himself to sleep tonight. At least we did catch it on cast, that first Doomfist play. We saw all of it. But why would you do that? That's so mean. Imperi definitely got it. He had 2 massive quad kills. Oh, how unfortunate.
I mean, we did get a chance to see some really smart play there. So, you know, originally when those attacks were coming out, it was really interesting to see the different types of comps that Quasar was trying to force the issue with, right? They came out with that Doomfist, they had a plan, and then when they had 1 minute left, they went with the Doomfist strategy. And this is what I like about Quasar, and this is actually how you beat Quasar as well. If you're going to be running against a team like Quasar, you know that they're very specific about their game plan. They have, you know, they practice a lot. They come up with a lot of, I don't want to say wacky, but very interesting strategies that you might not be used to seeing. They're going to try to force you to play on their tempo. The best way to combat something like that is to, you know, either pop off with your DPS, or if you're able to disrupt that tempo that they're setting up, you're able to disrupt the game plan that they're walking into it with. It's very difficult if you walk in with a specific game plan and then you're forced out of it because the enemy team tries to counter you. Then you have to waste time, you know, changing heroes, wasting all the ultimates that you have built up until that point. So that's what I would like to see done against Quasar here. You see what they want to do, and then you should change your composition to completely destroy the plan that you know they have.
That's true, yeah, and even, I was confused there because I thought maybe they were actually pulling out the Mei. Mei would be completely an unconventional pick, I think, here. Really hard to play around these chokes because Mei wall doesn't actually close off any of the beginning areas. Just not wide enough to get around, and you can always run around in a certain direction. You don't even need that vertical movement to take away the effect of the Mei wall.
All right, so now we're on to Volskaya Industries. don't expect that Bastion to stay around too long. Bastion, I wouldn't be mad if we saw another Bastion, but, you know, really when I think about Volsky, what I think about is, you know, how do you make it past that choke? The initial choke right by where the truck is sitting, the entrance to the point if you're on attack. You know, what do you do to get past that? The way you see teams lose, especially if you're on ladder, is people just tend to stand still at the choke and I guess just hope for somebody to get the first pick. That's not a great way to fight if you're in a team environment. If you're in a team environment, you better be coming with a very specific plan. I do expect to see the Bastion dropped. Of course, I expect to see, you know, Torbjorn and Symmetra. Don't get too upset. Don't get too excited. Don't expect to see them stick around. I expect something very different, maybe a little bit more traditional. If you were running attack here, Dancer, are you thinking more of a dive, or do you want to go with the quad tank?
Quad tank's really popular, but you have problems with quad tank if you don't win right away. And I'm not sure how confident they are that they're going to be able to defend their healers, which will be the win condition on the quad tank. So yeah, we see the switch to dive. I guess that's more of their bread and butter, what they're used to. And I think dive is just more reliable on the consistent fights. You don't want to rely on winning your first fight all the time.
This is not a great place for the Lucio to be. He's with 2 members of his team, but he's not with the rest, so a little bit split up here. This might be a good pincer attack, though, coming in, because G-Man gets the first kill onto the Mercy. That's a huge deal. Mercy not being in this fight means Quasar has to win this fight right now, or they're going to lose. They don't even have Flutter anymore. There are no heals for Quasar, so the DPS really need to pop off.
Yeah, it looks like it's probably going to be over if the Moira's still up on one side and not up on the other. You got to kill her instantly, or it's basically a called fight. But we saw a really strange tactic there. I'm not sure what happened. I think G-Man actually took all the pressure off the tanks, and then they got a free dive. We saw Atrushan, he hopped on with 100 health and never got focused down. So that's what happened the entire time. Like, the Tracer just took all the focus, never died. And when you're expending resources to kill someone and they don't die, that's really, really expensive, and it's going to basically cost you a loss.
All right, so now we're seeing the aggressive push walking in, and Pierre's able to get the first kill. I think he popped that onto the D.Va mech, but unfortunately for Genji, he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Now we're walking, it's actually 5v5. Make that a 4v5 because Luna is not going to be outdone by Imperial, getting a kill onto the enemy team's Moira, and that's a huge deal. That Moira had her Coalescence available. Smartly didn't pop in a bit of panic, but you don't have that Coalescence that's going to be able to save you here. Jameson, I think, got a little bit distracted there, jumping off the edge. Doesn't look like this push is going to be doing anything. So although Quasar did seem a little bit disheveled there, that bomb that came in from Imperial was so huge, taking out the enemy team's prime DPS and completely stopping the fight there. Yes, there was a little bit of kills being traded back and forth, but really the only thing that happened that was, you know, really exciting to see in the kill feed was, you know, the Lucio popping off and just booping the D.Va off. But now it looks like now Lucio's not done showing off. He's gonna be popping the aggressive beat here. I love where their head is at, but it has to be a very, very strong dive. If you're gonna use your Lucio beat to get into the fight, you better win that fight by the time the beat wears off. Otherwise, there was no point in popping it in the first place. Generally want to save it for a defensive use, but if you have to use it, you have to make sure that your dive is impeccable, and it looks like the dive was not there that time, was not even able to get a tick, so Quasar is attempting to full hold point B here, and it looks like they're in a good position to do it.
Definitely, and just to add on to your notes of an aggressive beat use, we saw the beat being used as they came through choke. If you're going to use it aggressively, it would have been a bit better to maybe even save it for 1 second for the mid dive, so that it's popping as your tanks land on your as the tanks land on the dive target, and then you get the full use out of it. They lost about 100 to 200 just to the decay before tanks and DPS even landed.
G-Man trying to walk in and get something started for his team, but taken out very quickly by Luna Moon. Dropping the Helix rocket into a very low Tracer is always going to kill her. She was taken out there, so this is going to be a completely dead push unless Quasar takes too long to... Now you see what's happening right here. Everybody is stacked up on the right side. This might be a point to attack point B, but you've got to be fast. I don't see anybody being taken out, so Quasar is staying very, very safe on the point. Imperial does win the 1v1 versus G-Man, but I'm very, very surprised to see that Quasar wasn't more quick to take out the entire rest of the enemy team who was set up on point right next to you.
Yeah, and it looks like that's what Lunar wanted to do. He got a little bit aggressive with the soldier. Usually we saw him hop over, use his helix to hop over, get a little bit closer, and get that sight line to start putting damage into them, knowing that they wouldn't take the fight 5v6. But as soon as I think the Tracer duel was happening, they realized it was a 5v5. They wanted to take the duel, and that's when Quasar kind of let the fight come to them.
Now we have beat being dropped again. This time Munir is doing very, very strong with that beat, using it for the longevity of the fight. But is anybody going to be able to follow up on that beat? The beat was great, but your DPS has to be able to pop off during that beat. Your tanks have to be able to push the other tanks out of the way. Julian is down, but he's already back up to 300 health because he's just being healed. There's so much that a Winston can do if you keep him up, and Julian is being pocketed so hard, does not get a chance to pop the Primal there. I don't know if that was just a mistake or if he thought not to use it, but really would have loved to see that Primal pop there. I think he might have gotten burst on a little bit too quickly. It doesn't matter in the end because D.Va is able to get onto the point. First tick lost, but D.Va's trying to do everything she can to hold out.
And you know what? Ends up working out. Like you said, D.Va got to the point. It would have been a big throw if they couldn't get anyone on, and then he would have had to just waste his ult, but they did kind of stabilize a little bit better by him holding on to it, so it really does work out. I don't know if it was anticipated or he just didn't realize how fast he actually got it up.
This is so frustrating if you're on the attack here at so many different points. There's been, you know, the Genji just popped off, got at least a 3K. Earlier you had that fantastic beat that came in from your aggressive Lucio, but nobody's able to follow up. You know, getting that 3K is huge, but if nobody else is coming in behind you, following up on those kills and confirming the remaining 3 kills, you know, if you're on point B, your defensive spawns are coming in so fast. If you want to get more than one tick, if you want to actually cap the point, you need to decisively win a fight. You need to get all 6 of the enemy team dead at the same time to allow you more time to cap on the point. It was not able to be done on the last fight. Barletta is probably frustrated, but he's already 50% to another ultimate. I think he believes in his team. He just needs to get his team to walk in with him next time he pops that blade.
And one of the bigger things that happened was the first focus of the dive target was D.Va. So right away, we saw Joey lose his mech. And then the next target was the DPS. They slowly went through the entire team. They did get basically a team kill. It was longer than 10 seconds, so we didn't see the screen. But then the last target killed was Julian. So the problem with that is you're killing one tank first and one tank last. So the stagger fight is not going to be in your favor because now they're always going to have a tank on point, which is why they only got that one, almost 2 ticks. It was just because of their target selection. So if they had blown up both tanks first, they probably would have seen a 2-tick or possibly a victory there. But trying to leave one tank on point and giving them that sustainability to sort of get the respawns continuously out is at a massive disadvantage. You're making yourself have to win 2 fights instead of 1.
All right, less than a minute left to attack here, but don't count the Cabyberas out because they do have 4 ultimates. It's going to be very tough to pop that beat if Julian dives you that quickly, so you might still have a chance to be able to cap point B, but the entire Cabyberas team on attack right now, they better be pulling back to their own spawn. That death right there is going to be the last death that's going to enable them to still get another push off with all 6 members. If anybody else dies right now, it is a huge deal. Moira goes down. She is not going to be available for the final fight on point B. They're going to have to fight this. The Cabyberas are going to have to walk in with a D.Va out of mech and a Moira who's not going to be there in time. So it is still winnable. It's going to be much more difficult with those exit kills that Quasar was able to get on the way out.
And this is going to be really hard to even touch point. You're going to be way out of position to just get on, and you're going to get counter dive very hard.
Aggressive beat is popped there. Barletta wants to get another one of those 3Ks with his Genji blade. He's swinging away, tries to get some damage on the tanks, and he does get a kill on the period, but then Lunamu responds with 2K of her own.
And 2K on defense is a lot bigger than a 3K on offense. I don't want to say it, but it's true. It really hurts when you get that 3K and then you see 2 of your teammates are down. You're going to lose off respawn advantage alone.
And another fantastic beat, this time coming in from Flutter, who we saw had a couple of incredibly smart beats on the last one when we saw them on King's Row. Coming in with another clutch beat, he buys his team so much time. And the wonderful thing that's happening from Flutter's perspective is, you know, he's beating at a time where his team is, yes, they're low, but they're generally comfortable. They either have some sort of initiative in the fight, or they have maybe a 5v4 in the fight. So when he drops that beat, his tanks know they have all the time in the world. They're able to take that extra second to group up in comms, figure out who they're going to be diving, what use are they going to get out of this beat, and then jump in. And of course, you've got Luna, dumping damage into that. You've got Imperi dumping damage into that. So the focus fire that's coming in is enabled by that Lucio beat. Even if it wasn't there, I think Quasar still had a chance, but that Lucio beat was incredible at buying time.
100%, I agree with that. And I think Quasar was just getting a lot more value out of their Lucio beats. When you're running the Moira Lucio, I mean, Moira's ult, it does heal, but I don't know if I consider it a defensive ult. I would consider it kind of more of a sustain. So you only have one defensive ult on either side. You got to be getting a lot of value out of it, and always to pop it aggressively didn't always pan out for the Capyberas. So I mean, it's just unfortunate. It would have liked to see one fight taken. We know the rule with 2CP, which is one and done. You got to get one clean team wipe, and you get the point. Unfortunately, on all their engages, they couldn't get the clean team wipe. They would always go into a sustained fight, and it just kind of panned out for Quasar's 0.2 defense.
And, we saw from Kings, or the Cabyberas know everything there is to know about confidently stalling out a point. Kingsor was not a 2CP map, but it sure felt like it when the Capyberas were on defense. So let's take a little bit of a moment. Sorry for the pause, everybody. It looks like somebody was disconnected, but they will be back shortly. I want to talk about the lineup that Capyberas are bringing to the table. So we've seen pretty confident DPS coming out from G-Man, who was on the Tracer for pretty much the entire time we've been watching, and then Barletta, who of course had that wonderful Genji blade towards the end of the last point. Didn't cap it, but it was a very smart blade. He did have good target prioritization. So we're seeing the DPS. I want you to tell me a little bit more about what should the Capyberas be doing to better enable this fantastic DPS that they're bringing to the table?
It feels like the tank line on Quasar is just being able to sort of do what they want. They're making a lot of space, and I don't know what they can do to be denied. A lot of the time, as Julian's walking in, he's kind of being punished. But I'd like to see maybe the tank line doing the same thing that Julian's doing for his team on the Capybera side. So you got to walk in very confidently, make a lot of space. It's not being done super consistently. But I think one of the bigger things is just the amount of peels and resources that the off-tank Joey on Quasar side is putting into his team. We've seen him very often prioritize Imperi on the bubble when he was on the Doomfist. Something like that is very, very big. It's an 8-second cooldown, but it can basically guarantee you to walk in for free, and you don't... Something as small as a bubble basically means I don't need space in this fight. I have 2 seconds to do whatever the hell I want. So I think it's something even just like that, the off-tank sort of prioritizing the DPS rather than their main tank.
So the Cabybera is going for a very interesting strat on defense that we haven't seen for some time here, and unfortunately we have another disconnection. Hopefully Huni is able to get that fixed up as soon as possible, but it does give us a little bit of time to talk about the Sombra defense on Volskaya. Now, Dancer, there was a time that Sombra defense Volskaya was, it was the hotness, if I can say that. It was back in a time when Sombra was able to get her EMP value, get her EMP ultimate generation from people picking up her hacked pack. So you put 3, sometimes 4 tanks on a pack, and then Barletta is able to build EMP all the time. That's no longer the case here. The Sombra still can be good, but you're just not getting as much value with those hacked packs, especially if you're only running 2 tanks. So I'm very curious to see how they choose to use Barletta on the Sombra DPS. Looks like the fight has already begun. Damage is being traded back and forth. The first tank to go down is going to be on the defensive side. So the Cabyberas are not happy to see that. They lose their Orisa early in the fight, and now Luna Moon has been staying alive so long, back up to full HP. And this is going to be a complete team wipe. Now, it does have to be said, I'm not going to say that was BM, but Spyro had just loaded into the game, so that was a 5v6 which first started. I'm sure we're going to get some hate mail for that one, allowing that one to continue, but at the very least, there is a 6-man crew now on the side of the Capyberas, so they're going to be looking to hold point B here, and I expect to see Quasar very aggressive, especially with that Reinhardt chatter, which they already had. They only need a little bit over 50% Dancer, so they're going to be walking in and looking for a huge chatter right here.
And they saw the shield break, immediately popped it. Unfortunately, the only one in sight lines was Orisa. She had her halts, no value.
G-Man surprisingly taken out. I thought he was going to do a lot more work than that, but he was brought down very low before his shift and then taken down immediately after his shift. Luna with another wonderful bomb, taking out the Moira there is such a huge deal. Now you have to ask yourself this question. We're down a little bit. We want to try to take this fight here. This is a bit scary, but that B comes in. It's giving you a second life. Are you able to do anything with it? Almost charging off the edges. Julian did not expect to be pushed back by the whole hog. He is still alive. He is still putting a lot of pressure on the enemy team. But now, as he's putting all this pressure, everybody's looking at him. Nobody's watching out behind because Barletta gets a 2K on the Sombra.
And that was really, really smart play there. So what Cabybera did is they put just multiple points of pressure. So they had the Orisa Hog kind of in the center, and the Sombra had been on the top left, kind of the high ground, harassing the entire time, with Reaper playing the bottom right. So Sombra and Reaper both have mechanisms to be able to regroup with their team for free without being able to be punished. So that entire time, Reaper pumping damage. We see already has the ult up after just one push. Granted, it was a pretty stalled out long fight, but still, that kind of is a testament to how much damage he was putting into the back of Reinhardt and into Zarya's side.
All right, so we're going to see another fight here. Now, watch out for G-Man. He's probably going to be looking to pop his Reaper ult very quickly. He does pop it. It doesn't get any kills in the kill feed, but it does so much damage that Jameson's able to walk in, get a 3K of his own, and just like that, the entire fight is stopped. And I do want to bring back up something that you mentioned a moment ago. Barletta, remember not this fight, the fight before it, started the fight using EMP, opened up with EMP, and by the end of the fight had another EMP available. So yes, nobody's able to give you extra EMP charge because, you know, the hacked pack nerf, but that doesn't change the fact that she was also reduced, you know, the spread on her shot. So Barletta can do a lot of damage here, provided that, you know, one of the elevators doesn't get in her way. Looking to pick off somebody, getting the hack onto Lucio is so huge. Remember, Lucio no longer has his songs available to him when hacked. That was also a buff that was added with the changes to Sombra.
And Barletta really doing some work. Unfortunately, there the fight came in really fast, but like you said, you know what? I don't know if it matters to Barletta whether or not that you need a health packs to get that charge in the old patch. 50% is really fast to get that, especially considering how fast that fight ended. I'm guessing we're gonna see a lot of Barletta harass, and I mean, if they do this right, Barletta might even get another EMP on this next engage, and that would be so massive. It's really hard to see the EMP value this consistently from a Sombra with this new patch.
And I don't think that this game is going to be won in this next fight, but the fight after it. So this is when Quasar needs to ask himself, are we willing to invest everything right now? We've got 3.5 minutes to get approximately 50%. Are we going to invest all of our ultimates right now, especially after that McCree pick? Or are we going to try to hold off? Looks like they're not holding off here. 3K comes in, make that 4 kills coming in for Quasar on the attack. This is going to be G-Man's show right here. If he's able to take off the mom, that's going to go a long way. But Luna says, no thank you. That is my mom. I'm keeping her around. And we're capping the point. What a fantastic hold. I was not too sure about Barletta's Sombra play there, but after watching how smart Barletta was, you know, getting the hack onto the Lucio was so... That used to be a complete waste of your time. Lucio used to keep his song on. I think he used to still be able to wall ride, and the only thing that was different was that he couldn't switch between songs. Now when you hack a Lucio,
he's useless.
Do anything.
He's a sack of potatoes.
Yeah, he is the easiest kill of your life. So what a fantastic hack on that Lucio. I was really impressed by the Sombra play there, and it just didn't pan out in the end. Going into that last fight, Quasar had so many ultimates, Dancer. You know, if you know that the enemy team is walking in, they only need 50%. They've got 5 ultimates walking in. You know, what do you do to stop that? Do you think that you can get the hack off early enough? Like, what are you looking to do to stop that aggression?
So I mean, they got the dive off onto Mercy. and they just couldn't do anything about it. That's so unfortunate. It would have been better to maybe, I mean, if you don't have a team that can necessarily jump into the enemy team and kill the hack easy, I think you're going to get more value out of hacking a tank. So you would have gotten more value. Like I said, Julian's been doing really good of just walking in, giving his DPS, his team, that space. Very, very consistently, he's doing that. So if you would have hacked him, he would have had no shield. He's always up really far because his team supports him and allows him to play in that style. If you hack him, he has no shield. He can't help himself. Most likely, you'll be going to be able to blow him up, especially since you're playing that kind of frontline game. So I think one thing they could have done there is if you would have hacked the Reinhardt, you would have seen a bit more value, as well as at the very end, it was so painful to watch. Sombra was desperately trying to get the last 4% of her ult, and she had to reload. And in that time, Pharah got in position, started to ult, as well as the Zarya ult came out. If that clip had enough juice, let's say, to get that ultimate, to get that EMP, she would have EMP'd a lot earlier, and we wouldn't have seen the Zarya grab or the Pharah ult come out, and that would have been a one fight with just an EMP. So it was just kind of a nail biter of Sombra was trying to build her ult as fast as she could, and unfortunately she couldn't.
And I don't think there's a worse feeling than, you know, being in Overwatch, you're fighting it out, your ultimate gets to 99%, and then you're taken out. And that moment when you're dead, waiting for respawn, and then you just watch it naturally tick up to ultimate ready. It's just such a bad feeling, especially in a moment like that when you lose the match because of it. But I shouldn't say because of it. Barletta was able to do so much work, needed somebody to step up in that moment, but just, you know, that's actually exactly what we're seeing throughout this entire scrim so far. You know, Cabyberas are very strong individually. They have Barletta, who just popped off on Sombra. We've seen G-Man's Tracer do so much work. So individually, a lot of skill coming out. But what we're seeing from Quasar, this is very interesting. I don't think they have as much solo carry potential, but they don't need the solo carry. What Quasar brings to the table is the ability to, one, come up with a plan and stick to it, and then two, their comms must be so clean right now because they're playing as a team. They're being very strong. A little bit of mistakes here and there, a little bit of a sloppy dive here and there, but overall I'd say more than 9 out of 10 times, maybe 9.1 out of 10 times, Quasar has just the superior teamwork that's enabling them to mitigate the DPS that's coming in from the side of Cabyberas.
And one thing that Quasar has that a lot of these kind of lower SR teams don't have is they've been a team for a while. I think their roster has been locked in with 4 of these core members for a few months, as well as they really consistently practice a lot. That's something that you need to be a team. A lot of people don't realize. They think solo queuing's enough. Mechanical skill isn't enough to win this game on a team-based level. You need to have that synergy. You need to know your diva should know when she has to peel, when she has to dive. Stuff like that you can't practice in solo queue mechanically. You need to have the team together and that synergy to know that stuff. So I'm gonna say probably 70% of the time Quasar's gonna have an advantage in his scrim just because they've been a team longer than a lot of diamond teams have been teams.
Absolutely, and it shows. I mean, the proof is in the pudding, and it's really showing off with the way Quasar is able to answer everything that's being thrown at them. Here's something interesting. I saw this earlier. I didn't want to mention it, but I'm seeing it again here. Cabyberas keep trying to run this dive, but they're running it with a Moira who's not bad in a dive, but not typical in a dive. They're doing it with a Moira Zen. That's going to create a lot of problems. The enemy team Quasar has the Lucio, and they have the Mercy, so they're going to have a little bit more sustain. Now, with that said, G-Man is able to take out the Mercy. That's exactly what they need, but if they're not going to pop off quickly, if Cabyberas aren't able to win this fight right now, they're certainly going to lose it. They don't have the movement speed provided by the Zenyatta, and they don't really have as consistent a pocket like Mercy can bring to the table when they're running a Moira instead. Now we're having kills being traded back and forth. I thought this was easily in the hands of the Cabyberas, but with that kill from Joey, gave him a little bit of life, and then G-Man completely shuts it down, getting a 2K of his own. So just like that, at the moment I said I'm not too sure about the Moira Zen, Cabyberas show me why I'm wrong, but here's what you should be looking for on the way out. The moment that Zen is out, the moment that Moira is down, it's going to be very difficult to get your reinforcements there. You don't have the Lucio who's able to speed anybody in, so I think that might be the failure, but G-Man is not going to let it happen. He's been staying alive this entire time, getting so many picks. Now he has Pulse Bomb. Is he looking to use it? Doesn't really need it because his team is already winning this fight.
But that was a very long stall. To get 55%, I don't even know if I want to call it second fight. It was a very quick re-engage at about 5 to 10% when Capybera started winning the point. So all of that was basically just a consolation prize for Quasar. They got 40% off of a lost fight. Not a really bad trade to have in your back pocket.
I completely missed the fact that Quasar even capped that point. They're at 54% here. That's really, really incredible. And now it's going to be down to, you know, it's going to be down to if the Cabyberas are able to stay alive. They are not able to, because now Imperi's taking his turn to pop off. And this is exactly what I was warning about earlier. If you don't have the movement, you know, Moira is great, but the reason the Moira is so strong is you want to use her ultimate as quickly as possible. If you're putting your Moira in a position that she needs to be healing a Tracer, which is not that easy, and she needs to be healing mobile tanks, it's very difficult for her. Now we're starting to see the Cabyberas change up. They have the, you know, the Lucio now. I think that's going to be very useful for them, but I still don't like that Moira. It seems like they want to work with the Moira, but they're not working to her strengths.
See, the problem with Moira in Dive is if you use her shift to get in and into the mid fight, which is Moira wants to be in the mid fight. She wants to be in the middle of her tanks, middle of her team. She can pump out more area of effect damage than any other healer. But if she's using her mobility to get in, she's such an easy dive target. You just kill her and you lose the fight that easily.
Yeah, Moira no shift is something that you do love to hear, because that means you know she's going to be dead very quickly. Kills being traded back and forth. G-Man is taking out Imperi this time. Lost the duel last time, winning the duel this time, but Flutter is not going to let his team go out into that good night. He gets a kill of his own onto Barletta. These are kills being traded back and forth, but the important thing to remember right now is that the Cabyberas are in control at this point. Even though it's an even fight, they're getting all of this extra percentage, and they're stopping that 99% from ticking over to 100 for Quasar.
And it feels like, okay, I was going to say, Hunyor is holding onto his ult so long. The Moira ult comes up so often and so quick. You kind of want to pop it earlier. It would have been nice to see him to keep Spyro in the game and in his mech. Unfortunately, Spyro did LOS him on that, didn't get any of the healing, and they kind of lose all the value on that Moira ult.
And now the point's going to be turned back over to Quasar. This is going to be just cleanup duty, killing the enemy team as they walk in one by one. Can they take out the Lucio? Because I don't want to count the Cabyberas out too quickly. They were able to stall for an eternity. Spyro getting a huge bomb in there, but nobody is able to touch. How unfortunate. Lucio was taken out. Spyro is still trying to get in his mech, and nobody able to touch. So the first point of Oasis is going to be going to Quasar. And now this is a moment, this is a defining moment for your team. You're in between you're in between maps on Oasis. Ask your team, what are we doing, and is it working? And it looks like that conversation has already started, because Hunyor has switched over to the Mercy. They're going with the Pharmacy, which is very smart for this point. You can get some easy boop kills, and then you can also just, you know, own the skies as a Pharmacy, provided that the enemy team doesn't have any hit scan. And it does not look like Quasar is expecting a Pharmacy here, because they have nothing except for Imperi's Doomfist that can take her out.
And that's such a smart conversation to have. Moira, you were getting a little bit of trouble having the value out of her, especially because the dive played by Quasar was so good to target who Moira couldn't heal, or if Moira used her shift to get in to heal them, it would go on to her. So it was really like a game of checkmate, where no matter what you did, you were kind of out of position as Moira. So very smart swap. I'm glad they talked about it. They would have had a really hard time if they continued to try and run it.
And the only person who's able to take out that Pharmacy was Imperi on Doomfist. He is out of the fight right now. This might be time for Pharmacy to shine. Barletta popping off, already using his ultimate, but he's taken out just that quickly by Imperi with a headshot. I 100% assumed that this was a fight easily in the hands of the Cabyberas, but they are taken out by the respawn timers coming in from Quasar. And, you know, I understand that Doomfist is a hand-to-hand combatant. If you've ever seen Chipsa, or you've ever been on Reddit, you know how good Doomfist can be at taking out a Pharmacy, and that's what I want to see from Imperi right here. We know he's confident at opening up space for him, but is he an assassin? Let's find out what Imperi chooses to do with this Doomfist.
It looks like he really got screwed by his own abilities there. Luckily his team goes aggro. bails him out of his troubles. That could have been a lot of trouble. He lost a lot of value out of all of his abilities and got caught out of position, hitting the ceiling, and it knocked him into the team. Wow,
Yeah,
very good play.
That did not go his way. But this is exactly what we've been saying all Scrim long. It doesn't matter for Quasar if, you know, one of the pieces of the puzzle is gone, or somebody steps out of line, or somebody even feeds their brains out. The rest of the team has such a strong core. They're so good at playing together. They're able to follow up and save Imperi's life, all the meanwhile grabbing and killing the entire enemy team. Now Imperi's going to be looking to use his Meteor Strike. We saw him get a 3K with it before. Is he going to be able to pop up this time? Just using it to reposition himself, and then getting taken out by G-Man with a double pulse bomb kill. Spyro's following up, getting the kill on Julian. This might be the Capybera's time to shine. They really need to cap this point though, because it's, yes, it's at 73% right now. If Quasar is able to get this to 99%, they're going to be very happy. It means one team fight is going to win you the game. Luckily for the Capiberas, they are able to stop it here. So, you know, if worse comes to worse and Quasar recaps on the point, you should be able to get time to get one more fight to recontest.
Yeah, and not a bad spot at all for either team to be in. You're just looking for who has the better and bigger ult usage here. And I'd say that's some good ult usage.
5K, a 5K from Barletta, using that ultimate perfectly calculated with Spyro. You know they were planning that. They were hyped about that one. Spyro gets this enormous Graviton Surge, and then Barletta shows us why he is the carry on the Capiberas. Fantastic play by Barletta, and let's see how the Quasar responds, because they know the enemy team is missing 2 ultimates. They just saw them firsthand, so are they able to, you know, withstand this barrage that Quasar's bringing to the table right now?
And Barletta quickly taking out the only threat to him. Now everything else is going to be pretty small damage that a pharmacy can heal out. Unfortunately, his Mercy's gone. This might be a lost fight here. It's going to be very difficult.
Barletta did everything in his abilities to be able to hold on to that point. Huge prediction shots that came in. Able to get, I think, 2 or 3 kills before he was ultimately taken out by the enemy team Zarya, which is Joey. Joey's building up to his next ultimate, but take a look here. There has not been a cap for Quasar. It is still the point being belonging to the Capiberas. And it looks like it's going to stay that way for at least a little bit longer, because Joey is taken out there. And then Luna Moon says, no, we're capping right now. Gets a 3K with the tire, including the enemy team's Mercy. This might be exactly what Quasar needed to cap this point.
And wow, what a play by G-Man. Didn't die on point for so long. No one could take care of him. They got the tank line back on point, and they essentially stalled it. So one more fight. This next fight will be the last fight. Whoever wins this and takes the point will win this phase of Oasis.
And this is going to be very interesting, because Joey is walking with this Graviton Surge. Jameson does not have his beat ready yet. If there's an early Graviton Surge, Lucio will not be able to stop it. Lucio's actually taken out.
Oh no.
Oh my god, please be play of the game. That was, I don't want to say disrespectful. There was nothing really else for him to do there, but popping off with the Deadeye and then using the Graviton Surge to just essentially farm his accuracy. Really smart play by Imperi, getting into a position where he knew he wouldn't be picked off. He likely wouldn't be picked off because the enemy team was going straight to point. Goes with the flank high noon, but let's take a watch of Barletta's fantastic barrage here.
Now I want to see this juicy damage boost. Wow, pops right into
inside the team. Barletta popping off, 100% enabled by Spyro, who was on Zarya, able to get the Graviton Surge in a fantastic spot. So, you know, that's, again, I don't mean to sound like a broken record here, but we keep seeing the same thing. I would like to see a little bit more coming in from the Capiberas than just, you know, the DPS popping off, and your entire strategy hinges on that. Their DPS is incredibly impressive. G-Man and Barletta are doing so much work, but the rest of the team seems a little bit disheveled. I want to see a, you know, maybe even a slower pace fight. If the Capiberas need to slow down what they're attempting to do and just make sure that, you know, they're not winning fast, but they are winning at all, right? Slowing down and getting a consistent game plan in effect, that's what the Capiberas need to do. Because if they have a game plan, if they're able to play together as a team, and Barletta and G-Man are popping off, there's actually no stopping the Capiberas at that point.
And I think I agree with you. It takes a little bit to sort of let it sink in and realize, but what we have been mentioning is kind of the value that you get from a team without alts. So their alt value, they pair alts very well. They always put damage into their CCs. They're actually doing very well alt economy and following up on ultimates on the Capybera side. But the things that they need tweaking and kind of a little bit more work on is, like you said, they're everything outside that, or not everything, but I guess their approaches, their engages, and their defenses outside of that. So I mentioned earlier that Barletta, they might have gotten more value if they would have hacked a Reinhardt on Volskaya. That's the individual sort of outside of the alt economy game that they need work on. So small stuff like that, if you fix it up, you're going to be in such a good place as the Capiberas, because like we've seen, they're setting up their alt combos very, very well. It just looks like sometimes they aren't doing the right choices for what their comp wants to accomplish. A lot of them are kind of trying to be the heroes on their team and get that PogChamp moment, when it's just always better to kind of set up a team play instead.
And I will never poo-poo a PogChamp moment. I love seeing that Graviton and the 5-6K coming in from Barletta. That is fantastic. And here's what I'm very curious about. So we saw this actually in the middle of Oasis, between map 1 and map 2. We saw the Capiberas completely change their game plan. They swapped off that Moira. They went to the Mercy. They're willing to adjust depending on what they see, and I expect them to carry that into Dorado here. You know, they are starting to adapt here, and you know, beating Quasar, it just really requires you to disrupt what they're attempting to do. You know, I've played with Quasar many times before. I played with them, I've played against them. You know, that core of 4 that you mentioned before, you know, they've been practicing these things. They've been theory crafting and then putting it into practice, going into scrims, going into competitive, 6 stacking, and just practicing all of these different strategies that they think will take them to the next level. Now, the wonderful thing for them is that is absolutely working. We're seeing it happen right now in front of us. But since they've been practicing a very specific kind of game plan, you need to be able to disrupt that. Popping off is not going to be enough. You know, they just need to respawn, and then they do it again and they win. So taking a look at, you know, of course, the Capiberas don't know what's coming in on attack yet. They are going in the pretty basic. They're completely abandoning the dive, which I'm fine with here on Dorado defense. They are back onto the Moira. Do you think this is a better comp for Moira, Dancer?
100%. This is an amazing comp for Moira. You have so many perpendicular angles to hit your orb off, so you get the healing coming and going on that orb. And actually, it's a really good comp to run into what Quasar is running. So obviously, like you said, they don't know what Quasar wants to do here, but this is actually a really good comp to counter it. So kind of got lucky with the strategies here. Imperi's going to have to do a lot of work, either on the high ground or in the back line to get value out of that choice right now.
And, you know, out of all the great things that the Capiberas were able to do, losing your Zenyatta completely destroyed their entire plan. I really like where their head was at. It was a very good decision, but then Luna Moon was able to get that rocket into the enemy team's Zenyatta, and just like that, the entire point has been opened up. Imperi walks in for free. There's no Discord to stop him, and the entirety of the Capybera is just crushed underneath the weight of the Doomfist and the Pharah combo. So now the question is, Barletta, he's pretty much the counter to both Doomfist and Pharah. He needs to be flash banging the Doomfist when he, you know, goes in, but he also needs to be putting a lot of pressure onto the Pharah. A lot is being put on Barletta's back. So it's going to be very interesting to see, you know, Spyro with the change to Diva. Is he going to be the one who's bullying the Pharah?
I mean, I hope he gets a little bit of help. Zen should be discording whatever's the more aggressive target too. I was going to say on that first point, they would have had a really good chance if they would have got Zen to have the Discord on Pharah. Barletta only needs to hit 1 body shot to really put a lot of pressure on her. But unfortunately, Zen taken out early. Your McCree damage is going to be healed out by the pharmacy, like, just too easily. And that's kind of where their entire defense crumbled. McCree couldn't put pressure on anything. And really...
And take a look at what Quasar did here, Dancer. Because 100% I agree with you, but this is very interesting. Quasar switches to a completely new almost a completely new composition for this phase. Now, I agree with that change. It's a very smart change, but they actually completely debated the Cabyberas. Cabyberas seemed like they knew what to expect, so, you know, getting respawns, getting the high ground, they expected that Doomfist to walk in, and all of a sudden you've got a Tracer who, by the way, Imperi already has 80% to his bomb, having just switched in the last fight. They capped the point. I don't think the Cabyberas were expecting that switch at all. Do the Cabyberas even know what's happening at this? They need to slow down here, figure out what is going to be coming in for this final point, because it may well change again, and then learn to respond. Barletta is going to be trying to do that right now with the High Noon, at the very least creating some space for his team.
And that's like such an ideal circumstance to swap. You swap to dive, knowing that you convincingly won first fight, and that your enemy team has no ults. So once again, you do reset the ult economy. You even give your enemy a bit of an advantage, but you know absolutely none of them had ult up. So you're going into an even fight. We're both playing dive. Neither of us have ults.
Barletta in a good position, does take out the Genji. Wanted a little bit more from that one, but taking out the Genji is more than enough, although Joey's not having any of it. Avenging his friend, taking out Barletta, and now the main DPS that the Capybera's had is on the sidelines. He's been benched by the enemy team's D.Va. Is he going to be able to make it out in time to try to get something out of this fight here? Huge deal, though. Little Spoon is going down. The Mercy's been taken out. This is exactly what the Cabyberas needed. They've got the Mercy out of the way. Can they follow up and get some kills?
Oh, and oh no, as soon as that Genji went down, we're going to see that consistently, just the Genji being targeted, focused. They couldn't really help him. There's too many tanks and too many DPS in your face. This is going to be really, really hard. You're probably going to have to use the Zeno just to stabilize onto the cart.
And that's exactly what Lunamoon wants to see. Lunamoon has the Genji blade available, and just waiting for the time to strike now, because Zenyatta popped the trance there. Flashy has no trance to be able to stop this incoming blade, but it doesn't need to be stopped, because the entire team, through that trance, it was very scary to do, but through that trance, it bought enough time for the tanks to stay alive, take out the Quasar attack there, and then stop the blade before it even started. The problem is, yes, you just bought yourself about 30 seconds there while the enemy team is regrouping. They still have blade, Luna still has blade, and you still don't have trance. You just switched over to Lucio, which is fine, but that means you also don't have beat. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they're able to stop Luna, if at all.
I mean, they're going to have to focus him. If he's allowed to pop off here, they're going to be in too much trouble.
Blade comes in getting a 2K as Luna taking out the Lucio is a huge deal. Now, even the Moira goes down by Joey. This is going to be potentially a point cap here. Again, I don't want to jinx it because we've seen what the Capyberas are able to do on defense at the final point. But that was a very convincing blade here. G-Man going down next. Not going to be able to stall the point out any more than that. D.Va is out. The payload is not moving. It is contested. But there's just so many kills that are being brought in again and again and again by Quasar. It's so hard for the Capyberas to be able to stabilize on this point, but that's exactly what they're trying to do. Beat comes out, it's going to be so much more difficult. That Beat will have so much time.
And G-Man, the consistent hero, just buying hours and hours on cart no matter what. Basically bought the time for that regroup once again. Barletta popping off, did so much damage into the tanks and actually killed the Moira for the sustained fight. This is definitely, you're able to stabilize as the Capyberas on this one. And it looks like the fight's even going their way. Unless this Moira dies soon, the sustained fight's going to be in Quasar's favor. And oh no, I jinxed it!
What can you do? Quasar is unrelentingly aggressive. Even though the Capyberas have showed so much success at being able to stall out this point, the kills keep going towards Quasar. Luna is essentially unstoppable at this point. You know, popping that blade didn't really need it there, but is able to get many kills just by using the Genji Swift Strike, which is going to be resetting upon every single kill, and that's why it's so huge to be able to get those kills, so Genji can do that much more work. G-Man is able to take out the enemy team's Genji. I don't know if it's going to be enough. Barletta really needs to pop off here. Not able to get the second slash from Mercy. That is a huge deal. She's going to be staying alive for longer in this fight. This is going to be a very long fight by the looks of it.
And like you said, we got to give credit to the Capyberas. They really know how to stall a point. The Lucio buying time, G-Man always buying time. they're just getting so much time to get their bodies. Doesn't matter if they're losing the fight because they're just always on cart.
Now, that beat was fantastic. I don't know that it was necessary. You probably still want to pop it there because you know how aggressive Quasar is. I thought that the Cabyberas had stabilized, but not if Luna has anything to say about it. Getting another, make that a 3K by Luna, popping the blade. That might be the third blade I've seen in maybe 2 minutes coming out from Luna. Really incredible play, and it's just all about staying alive. 0.29 meters left for the cap, and there it goes. Finally able to cap on the point. What an incredible defense. Another great stall defense, and it's enabled almost entirely by the Tracer, which is G-Man, and the D.Va, who are able to come out and stop that payload. That is so huge, buying so much time. It doesn't matter how great Quasar is doing. It doesn't matter how many blades the enemy team's Genji is getting. You're stalling that point, and you're buying your team so much time to get back and swing the fight in your favor.
And I think Quasar, one thing they have to adapt is to this really like trickle in play style. They're losing a lot to it, and they're buying space because, like we said, the tanks and the DPS like to play aggro. So a lot of the time we're watching them push spawn. But I mean, if you aren't able to kill what's on cart and you kill everything in spawn, you're buying the time for the enemy to regroup. And that's what we saw, I think, almost 3 times in that last phase. Twice in one fight, once in the early fight to get through doors, where yes, this big awesome fight happened. Quasar is very dominant in the backline and in spawn, but the entire time G-Man was on cart and basically made that entire fight useless. So the same way that we're saying that the Cabyberas might have to try and alter their play, I think Quasar has to do that too, where they have to say, hey, let's slow down. We aren't able to kill the 1 or 2 things that are always on cart. So as soon as you win the fight, I think Quasar has to kind of tone down the aggression. Maybe not completely stop, but not send 4 people forward and maybe only send 2 to build a bit of space and keep people on cart to quickly get rid of those threats that are buying so much time. Because that's basically what is keeping Cabyberas in this fight right now, is the amount of time that they're able to buy 1v2 or 1v3 on cart.
Yeah, very, very smart play coming in from the Capyberas. They know how to stall out that point, and they're doing a fantastic job. Seeing the defense by Quasar here, it's very, very basic. It covers a lot of bases here. You have that little bit of McCree damage in case they run a Pharah. You've got Luna throwing in that spam in case they're going to be running any sort of shield comp. But they are, Capyberas are going to be coming out with dive here. I'm very interested to see how they use it. They still are refusing to play that Lucio with their dive, going more with the Moira route. But this time, Hunir is not on the Moira. He's actually going to be on Zenyatta, which could work out if they're able to get an early pick in this fight.
But this is going to be so rough because the dive comp, you have to dislodge the high ground. So we're going to see, you can see the tank sort of in the back line, but Moira's not there to heal them. Where's her value? I mean, your tank's either going to pop off, but you're not going to have sustain in the fight.
And exactly what you just mentioned, who are the first 2 to go down? It's both of the tanks. D.Va has been demeched. Spyra's been taken completely out of the fight. He's going to be back, but not for about another 15 seconds. Jameson is allowed to remech here, but that is entirely on purpose. I think they're just trying to stall out this D.Va from being able to respawn with her team. She does make it out, though. That is fantastic for her. So this is going to be a full reset coming in from the Capyberas, and you know, something needs to change. This Moira is not getting any value. We talked about this before. If your Moira needs to use shift just to get into the fight, to group up with your tanks who dove in, she's gonna die instantly. She's gonna explode. Even if she's able to get a healing orb off or maybe some healing, it doesn't matter because she's gonna be focused down very quickly. Fluttershy looks like he's on the wrong end of this, but he does have the pop trance just to stay alive. Very smart trance there, not using it for any ultimate, but staying alive, keeping his tanks up, and guaranteeing that this fight will be won unless something incredible comes out from Barletta with the blade. He is able to get 1 kill. Can he get 2? Well, if you die, it does count as a kill, so maybe he got 2 there. He actually did so much damage that Flashy was able to come in with Coalescence, get the kill, and then Hunir showing why he picked DPS, why he picked Zenyatta in the first place, popping off with the DPS, and the point has been capped. 100% opened up by the blade. There weren't a lot of kills in the kill feed, but so much damage was doled out, and then, you know, it can't be understated. Hunir getting some incredible shots there. Rapid discord onto the enemy tanks, taking them out very quickly. So it looked like a full hold there that came in from the Transcendence of Fluttershy on the side of Quasar has turned into a point cap for the Cabyberas.
But the thing here is Moira got value in that fight only because her ult has basically an infinite range. She popped ult, was able to help out her Genji from far away. Until she builds ult again, she's not going to see a lot of value with this comp. So, I mean, I want to see the swap off if possible. Maybe if you want to go for one more ult, you can do it, but I think you're losing too much value on running the Moira on attack here. The thing about running it on defense is you can drop down with your tanks. So the same way that tanks use high ground, drop down on the team for free without using shift, Moira can do that as well. Now she's in the mid fight. If she's in trouble, she has her shift, she gets out, her tanks get out as well. On defense, you can do that. On offense, you're just so vulnerable. Like, the tanks can drop down on you. If you use shift, they still have their shift. They can chase you and they'll finish you. So I don't like Moira on attack here. This is why we saw Quasar swap to the full bread and butter dive on this point. It's because this high ground has too big of an advantage.
Yeah, being able to drop down, not using any abilities to get there is such a huge deal. And it's very, it's very underplayed about how important that actually is. If you walk into the enemy team, forcing them to use their abilities to get away from you, you then use your abilities to get back into them, and they have no answer because they're still waiting on their cooldown. So Barletta does have his blade up here. He really needs to be very careful with how he uses it. Barletta is able to carry his team, but not if he just goes in willy-nilly, smartly decides not to throw it out there. Flutter, on the other hand, does have his Transcendence and is likely holding it exactly for that reason, waiting for the Genji to blade and then popping Transcendence.
And the call there was so good. As soon as Flutter got the Discord onto the enemy's end, we saw Julian and Joey immediately hop on him. Tanks with Discord are basically just DPS. And that's I think won in the fight. They were actually down when that started, but being able to kill Hunir that quickly just completely swings the fight. If one team has Discord and the other doesn't, you know which team's going to be dying first.
So many ultimates stacked up on both sides. 5 ultimates coming in on attack here for the Cabyberas. But how do they use it? Are they going to blow everything all at once, hoping to get just a team fight victory? Or are they going to try to stall it out a little bit and get as much value as possible?
And that's what I like to see. The stick happens onto D.Va, and then the dive happens onto D.Va. That's what you need. You need to be very vocal. You got the stick. You didn't get any value with a kill, but knowing that D.Va now only has 200 health, the dive comes into that room, and you have so much AoE damage, and you have just such a big advantage with that D.Va almost being dead, that you win the fight off of only a Tracer Bomb. And Tracer Bomb comes up so quickly. Imperi's already 40% on his next one. It might as well be a cooldown.
And I'm not really one to say anything is, 100% wrong, 100% right. There's so many ways to play Overwatch. That's why we love it. There's so many different things you can do. I am willing to put my neck out there and say, Flashy staying on this Moira is strictly incorrect. I am willing to say that. I think this is strictly an incorrect choice. Now, Barletta is going to try to put the rest of his team on his back here. Pops with the blade. G-Man does follow up too, getting 2 kills. Most importantly, getting 2 kills on the enemy team's healers. Is that going to be enough to switch this fight into the way of the Cabyberas? None of Julian has anything to say about it. This tank play from Julian has been so oppressive. There's no room to breathe. It's like you have this wet blanket on you when Julian's around, but finally being taken out by G-Man. That might have been the spark that they needed here, completely on the back of the DPS. DPS were able to do so much damage and open this point up, but now Quasar is back into the fight. Getting the res on Julian is huge here. But who's going to be the first one to go down? It looks like the D.Va mech is going down. Spyro is also going down. There is no tank presence for the Cabyberas, and now we're in overtime. This is not looking good for the attack.
And we saw the power of Discord with tanks. All they had was 2 healers, 2 tanks, but that's all you need. You get the Discord, you single out a target, and it's just so much damage. Flutter pumping in the damage from the backline. Yeah. It's really hard to win, I think, when you're losing that much value on your Moira. That being said, I don't want anyone to think we're blaming Flashy or saying it's whatever. He's such a bad caller of what healer to play. Typically, all these comps are decided before. So I think this is more just a testament to, I'm not sure what their comp is trying to accomplish, and I'm not sure if they're able to accomplish what they want to do, just because of that Moira pick. I think it's so limiting. The fact that you can't get vertical and you need to on point 2 of this map really, really limits what you can do with that comp.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not necessarily that the Moira was being played incorrectly or being played at a low level. The Moira was doing fine. It's just it didn't make sense for that team comp, and it certainly didn't make sense for that map. And one of the things that's important to realize, we briefly touched on this earlier, Dancer. Um, if you're ever in a position where a hero's not working, but let's say for example, you're on Genji, but the Genji's not working out, but you have Dragon Blade. Your Dragon Blade is never going to be worth it. Let me explain to you why. Either A, you pop the Dragon Blade, and because your Genji didn't make sense going into the enemy team, you die instantly, wasting your time. Or B, let's say miraculously, your Genji Blade kills 4 tanks on the enemy team somehow, some way. And then the problem is, now your Genji, you're on point, and in 20 seconds, those 4 tanks just walk back and kill you. So if you ever are in a position where you know that your hero is not working out, whether it's the enemy team's comp, that part of the map, or your own team's composition, being able to fit into that position. If you know a certain hero is not working out, your ultimate is never going to be worth keeping.
Yeah, 100%. Team comp is just far more important than ultimates or anything else. Yeah, like you said, best case scenario, you win the fight. Well, you're still stuck with a bad comp. It's just too important for you to run a good comp.
It's not going to work out for you, and especially when you look at scrims like this, when you look at tournament settings, when you look at having to make decisions, very high impact decisions with a very small time frame. Think about King of the Hill. Right? Losing 20 seconds is a huge deal. That's 20 more seconds that the enemy team owns the point, and they're just ticking up those percentage points. So yeah, maybe it doesn't feel like that much if just one more push, but you have to remember that those, even if it's 2 seconds here, 4 seconds there, 10, 15 seconds with the respawn, that adds up. You're not worried about the time you're losing as you're losing it. You're worried about the time that you've lost when it's overtime all of a sudden, way quicker than you expected, and you wasted so much of your time bashing your head into the wall. So that's what I expect to see, that's what I hope not to see. And I do expect to see that the Cabyberas pick a little bit more of a comp that feeds into the, whatever plan they want to do. Whatever the plan is, quad tank, dive, 2-2-2, triple DPS, whatever you want to do, you have to be firing on all cylinders to beat a team like Quasar. They are so tight with their team compositions and their decisions. You make one mistake and they're going to capitalize. So if you're walking into Quasar, you have to make sure that, all of your ducks are in a row, everybody's moving in the same direction, and everything works together.
Yeah, and that was, I think, the only problem we saw on Route 66 was, like we mentioned, you're not using all the cogs of your machine. You're going to have a little bit of conflict with how you have to play. Tanks couldn't really play with a healer. You lose that synergy of what tank works good with what healer.
Now,
but I really do like this
Moira that we wanted to see. Yeah, I'm with you, Dancer. This is the Moira that Flash is going to be able to pop off on. You have 4 tanks and a Lucio with your Moira. That's how you play Moira. Let's see what the Cabyberas have in store.
And I'm willing to bet he's going to pop Healing Orb maybe twice in this fight before he gets his ult. That's just how quickly it comes. Well, that one's basically useless, but we'll see how fast this happens.
A little bit of an unfortunate bounce there, but now the fight has begun. But the first thing that goes down is the Diva mech. That's going to be a huge deal, but you still have 3 tanks to back you up. And now both of the healers going down on the side of the Quasar. If this is any time for Cabybera to be able to cap this point, it's going to be right now. Barletta popping off absolutely on that Zarya. This looks like it's going to be the fight to win. And just like that, as soon as the Cabyberas were able to walk in, they walk out with a victory on point A.
And that's what a team comp that works together does. It doesn't matter that 1 or 2 of your teammates didn't get full value. The fact that your team comp has this good of a synergy, basically, it means every single aspect of your team has a chance of winning the point. And that's really what happened there.
Might be a little bit of a stall here, though. I don't know that it's going to pan out unless everybody else is able to get them to this point. It's going to be very difficult. We know how strong the stall that can come out from the Cabyberas is. It doesn't really matter here because the payload has been capped. I don't think Imperia was expecting that. Probably was not expecting the quad tank. Still on that still on that Sombra. Sombra can be good, but you really need to get a fat EMP so that the enemy team doesn't have any, movement abilities. The enemy team can't, pop whole hog or use the, take a breather. So I'm curious to see if Imperi stays here, maybe just for the next EMP. Did not get the spawn reset, and it looks like, yes, he is going to be staying on the Sombra. So all value is going to be on the EMP. More importantly, what do you put alongside the EMP to be able to cap on this point? Found out very quickly, not going to be able to get a sneak in that time.
And it's going to be really difficult. Moira and D.Va both kind of really deny him getting a regular hack off. So going to be very difficult. I don't know if I agree with the choice to use a tire there when you know the EMP is coming in so quickly.
Well, Luna has been getting some pretty fat tires so far, but not able to get anything, any sort of value out of that one. Flutter pops Trance, trying to save the team, but J-Man comes and gets the first kill on Julian. Losing your main tank is such a huge problem. You have no shield to stop this unabashed aggression from the quad tank that the Cabyberas are bringing into the fold here. This is the Cabyberas I wanted to see, from game one. Incredible composition, and they're playing it correctly. They're playing with their Moira. They're staying together, letting her get maximum value, not only just out of the healing orb, but out of her left-click heal. So, it can't be overstated. This is what it looks like when you have the correct comp and everybody's working together.
Yeah, it's just too important. It's a difference of night and day watching a comp that you acknowledge and understand how it works, and then you play it perfectly and flawlessly without any weird substitution. So the substitution for Moira and Dive, very, very hard to make it work. This is the bread and butter. This is very natural. This is the best comp you can possibly have for quad tank, and we're seeing how easy it is to pull off this synergy.
An enormous shatter came in from Spyro there, CCing almost the entire enemy team. Imperi was able to get some value, getting some shots in there, try to make it out, taken out very quickly. So this is exactly what we call a snowball. The reason we call it that is, once you get that ball rolling down the hill, it just gets bigger and faster as it goes. And that's what you're seeing with all of these ultimates that are being stacked up in the way of the Cabyberas. Are they going to be able to pop off here? Not if Luna has anything to say with it, trying to keep the team above water, getting a 2K on both of the healers. That is a huge deal. Imperi's able to walk in, get a kill himself. This might be the time that we see the snowball melt. It's going to be so close, though, because we know how good the Cabyberas are, but Luna will not stop firing missiles down into the enemy team.
And I was scared for a second there. It looked like there was so many Cabyberas left. They somehow survived after getting the healers dead, but I think really good awareness by Luna Moon, understanding, hey, the win condition of their comp is the fact that their Moira is putting out this much healing. So he did whatever he could to try and kill him quickly, and that's kind of what won them the fight there. It did cost 2 ults just to kill a Moira, but still, you gotta do what you gotta do to stop this snowball. It's just too strong.
Not what we expect to see on the kill feed. Looks like Roadhog's going to be killing the Reaper, not the other way around. Beat does come out to buy the team plenty of time, but the Moira ult is coming up for the Cabyberas. They might be able to cap the point here if they're able to confirm as many kills as possible in this short time. They don't have too much coming on, and we have a C9 coming in from Quasar. Not really like Quasar, but they Luna was trying to stay alive, just stay, afloat, stay aloft, dump as much damage, and nobody was able to come in and touch the point to stop the cap. So that is 3 points with 3 minutes left from the Cabyberas. We are seeing an entirely new Cabyberas, and I am happy to see it.
Yep, 100%. That was so clean. And I don't know 100% how much of a C9 it is. I think I saw the Roadhog use his ult to kind of zone the cart and make it untouchable. I do know Julian was dead, so they had no shield to get through that ult, but still just very, very strong with that comp. The pick off onto Imperi. Imperi was Reaper, was trying to do some backline damage, build his ult up because he had just used it to clean up and finish the last fight. Still gets caught out by the hook. Basically, from there, you have no more tank pressure. You won't be able to do the sustained damage through Moira's healing, and you have no answer to a comp. So, a really bad place to be for Quasar once Imperi got picked off on that Reaper.
Yeah, and Imperi, remember how the defense started there. Imperi was on the Sombra, so clearly Quasar had an idea of what they wanted to run, how they wanted to hold I think they were planning on a full hold on point A here, but they weren't expecting that quad tank to walk in. And the moment the Capyberas were able to do that, Quasar lost what their original plan was. There was the switch from the Sombra onto the Reaper, not getting a whole lot of value. And then we saw Quasar do something that we're not really used to seeing. They got very disheveled, very almost confused as to how to respond there. I think they had an idea, but they just weren't able to execute.
Yeah, and I think the big problem was they had the EMP tire combo. I would have liked to see those come out together. If you EMP the Lucio and the Moira, they're gonna die guaranteed to tire, especially if you're running tanks. It's a lot harder to kill that tire on its approach. So you EMP, you tire, and it's basically a free kill. I didn't like to see that tire popping out so early and then being used before the EMP came out.
And Quasar's going for one of my favorite strats. They're going through security, going all the way behind and taking over Cap A, completely displacing the Cabyberas. The Cabyberas are still running a very tank-heavy comp. They have 3 tanks, and this time switching out the 4th tank for McCree. Moira's still there. Nobody's dying because there is so much HP. Is D.Va going to be the first one who's knocked out?
Oh, wow.
Julian gets a giant hammer. That was one of the fattest hammers of his entire life. Is the team there to cap on it, though? Building that hammer very quickly. Now, Luna has the D.Va bomb here. These are some of the fastest ultimates we've seen built so far in this sprint.
And it's so hard to tell who's winning when you're running this high sustained Moira comp. I guess whatever team has a Moira alive is probably going to win, and right now it looks like that's going to be Capyberas.
What an incredible attack there. I really thought that they had something going, or I'm sorry, I really thought that Quasar had something going. They went for the unconventional strat. They went through security, trying to get behind the enemy team. It seemed to work. They had good positioning. And of course, that fantastic hammer that came in from Julian, but nothing really followed up on it. And just like you said, having a Moira while the enemy team doesn't virtually guarantees you're going to win that fight, and not to be stopped as Julian. He's walking in again, trying to get as much space as possible on this point. So much damage being put back and forth, but now the Lucio beat comes in for the Capyberas. Doesn't look like they're going to be stopped here because they have so much more time, so much more space, and this Graviton Surge has got to be getting a 5K or it's not worth it at all. Doesn't look like anybody from the Capyberas is going down, so Capyberas looking to get another convincing hold on point A.
I don't know, that Graviton Surge was optimistic at best. I mean, at that point, they were already down 4-6. Really risky there. They don't even have much to follow up as it is. If you see they're running the quad tank, it's not like they have a Junkrat or a Reaper that can walk in and pump that damage in. They were really just relying on the team to get in, which isn't going to work against a quad tank. Too much damage mitigation, and really rough to see that.
You can see how frazzled Quasar is here. They usually don't make mistakes like that by popping the Graviton Surge when they don't really need it. They can't really follow up. And now it seems like Quasar is in a situation where they're just trying to get something started. Everybody seems like they're trying to individually open up the team fight and give their team a room to attack, room to get onto the point. The problem is that is not what's been winning the games for Quasar so far. What's been winning the games for Quasar is having a specific plan and sticking to it. This heavy tank combo, this heavy tank comp that's been coming in from the Capyberas has really disrupted the plans of Quasar. They don't really know how to attack here. Imperi now switching onto the Reaper. Didn't work too well on defense, but he's going to see if he can open up some space on offense.
And G-Man gonna take the high ground here. He's gonna be relatively free the entire fight. The goal here for the Capyberas is gonna be to keep the fight on point. G-Man's gonna be able to get free damage the entire time. The only problem is if D.Va chooses to dive him, they do not have support. He will have to lose the high ground. So gonna be relatively easy to dislodge him, but until we see that commitment of D.Va coming up here and either booping him or killing him off the high ground, he's gonna be shooting for free into the back line.
Yeah, G-Man's going to be doing so much work here, and just like you said, the D.Va is able to come up, forces him off to the high ground, so this is going to be a little bit more of a hairy situation for G-Man, but now he's taking high ground a little bit lower this time on top of Cafe. D.Va is going to be taken out of mech here. That is a huge deal, but Luna is able to get the first kill of this team fight. Last fight of the match, potentially. G-Man following up with that headshot onto Joey, getting the high noon onto Flutter, and now he's going the other way. Luna and Imperi pumping out so much damage. Is Luna gonna be, is Imperi gonna be able to take out this Moira? It looks like he is. And as soon as that fight looked like it was in the Capybera's position to hold, Imperi and Luna walk in and just dole out as much damage as possible. So much so that in one team fight, Imperi was able to build his Death Blossom, and now he has it available in case there's any sort of overtime shenanigans.
And I'm pretty sure that that final death on that last point was the first time Flashy had died. Basically unkillable, that entire defense. 4 minutes. I don't think I ever saw him on the wrong side of the kill feed.
Flashy is taken out again, this time by the tire. Not too much you can do about that one. This is absolutely fine for the Cabyberas. You know, Quasar has to invest several ultimates just to stay alive here. They lost the Death Blossom. Luna already used the tire, and then of course Flutter using that beat. None of that is incorrect, by the way. I think they needed all of those ultimates just to confirm the point there, especially in overtime. You're never wrong to really, you know, pop those extra ultimates if you're not sure. It's better to cap and, you know, lose out on your ultimate than to save your ultimate for the next game. But now we're in a situation where, you know, the cards are completely in the hands of the Cabyberas. Are they able to respond to that overtime cap? Maybe with the pharmacy here, there's not too much coming in from Quasar that's going to be able to stop this pharmacy. Junkrat's trying to do it, but he just gets booped off instantly, so it's not going to be too much Junkrat help.
And I want to see, ideally, G-Man and Barletta both take the high ground. They're going to get so much free damage in, and with nothing to be able to stop it.
Yeah, and this is very interesting. This is what I like to see from Quasar. Now they're starting to, you know, get some room to breathe. They capped in overtime, and now they have a plan. The plan is, if we don't have anything that's going to be able to kill a Pharah, that's fine. Kill everything on the ground first, and then worry about Pharah. That worked out really well, but now we have Beat coming in here. I'm not sure if it's going to be doing too much. Beat was popped early, and the Cabyberas are not able to get too much value out of it.
And really risky positioning there by Luna Moon. He was holding the spawn door, hoping he could get in behind them.
You know what? Dying there from Luna Moon is absolutely okay. You took out not just the Mercy, but you took out the enemy team's Zarya as well. She has no energy walking into the next fight. That is a huge deal. You know, we talked about this back on King's Row. Having a Zarya at, you know, 60 plus energy is essentially like having a 400 health DPS on the team. So it is a huge deal to take out the Zarya when you can. And now we're starting to see the snowball going into Quasar's favor. They just walked, or they just had to stand against the snowball that came in from the Cabyberas, but now they're bringing it on their own. And how are they going to win this next fight? The enemy team, the Cabyberas, do have the Mercy ultimate, but Imperi has that Death Blossom. I know he wants to use it aggressively. I'm just curious if he's going to try to get behind the enemy team or walk in with his tanks and just drop it on point.
And it's going to be really hard. You're not going to be able to catch so much of the team with the Death Blossom. You have the Pharmacy who's going to take the skies, and G-Man now switched to Widow, so he's going to be sitting so far back. If that Death Blossom hits him, Imperi is either way too aggressive or he's way too far up. It's going to be really hard to do much against him here.
And just like that, the Cabyberas are finally able to stop this incredible push starting in the overtime from point A that came in from Quasar. They pushed all the way through Streets phase, basically untouched through Streets phase, but they have been stopped. Now what's important to remember is there's a minute left, potentially time for 2 more team fights. Knowing the way that Quasar likes to play here, they're going to be aggressive. Little Spoon is down. I guarantee Quasar's still going to be looking to very least try to get some ultimates here. They know they have time for one more fight, but they're going to try to win this fight right now. Imperi getting a 2K, make that a 3K. That's going to be huge. This might be the time for Quasar to shine here, but they need to follow up on those kills. Do not let the Cabyberas stall you. This is what they're best at. Trans coming out for the Zenyatta. He is going to be going down here as soon as it ends.
And I'm really surprised that fight went in their way. Capyberas had such a good game plan. This is one of the better comps that they've been running. It's very clear what they're trying to accomplish. Really abusing the sightlines on approach, and they even got a pick on approach on Quasar's Moira. So really everything there was in their favor. Just very smart, very aggressive play. I think Quasar said, you know, it's a little bit too late to back out of this fight, so they still walked in, and they got work done. I mean, once you get a pick or two, it's okay to start investing ults, and that's kind of what happened. They got the confidence knowing that, hey, if we pop our Qs, we'll actually probably win this fight. They do it, and that's the result. I mean, they capped it in such a strong fight.
Yeah, and it was such a strong fight. The important thing to know is Imperi popping off on the Reaper there. Had Imperi not gotten those first 2 kills with the Hellfire shotguns, that point would have 100% been lost. If you lose your Moira early in the fight, or another common one that you see, if you lose your Mercy early in the fight, you have 2 decisions. Are we going to try to pull out and get one more team fight in, or are we going to take this fight right now? If you're going to go with the latter, if you're going to take the fight, going into a 5v6 without your main healer, you need your DPS to get kills within 5 seconds. If that fight lasts longer than 5 seconds, if you're not getting any kills within those first 5 seconds, you are guaranteed to lose that fight. So Imperi popping off on the Reaper was so strong there, and of course following it up with the Death Blossom, taking out the enemy team's Mercy. Enough said there. Now, our, G-Man coming in, getting the high ground, is that going to be enough here? Quasar's already seen this team comp. They know what to expect, and I think they're coming in with a little bit more smarts here. They have Lunamoon on the Genji. They do have some time here, but they've got to be very specific with when they dive. The monkey going in by himself is not going to be enough here, and it looks like this might be a feed from Julian. Is he able to make it out?
No.
Bonks his head, falls back down, but while all of that is happening, Imperi and Lunamoon get 2 kills of their own. That might be enough to turn the tides into the way of Quasar's favor, but they're going to have to follow up, and they're going to have to follow up now.
Yeah, the choice to stay aggressive and hold your space there for the Reinhardt gets punished really, really hard by Quasar. Maybe not one of the better choices. If you're Reinhardt and you're not building space for your DPS, not to say he wasn't doing it, just to say his DPS wasn't there, so it doesn't matter that he built that space. There's no pressure, so nothing can stop Quasar from walking in behind the Reinhardt shield and just killing him, which is what we didn't see there, but what happened, right? He's on point, he's keeping that space. I would have liked to see the retreat back into the cafe where Reinhardt was, where the monkey, where Julian was being attacked by the rest of the team, and then walk back in. It's okay if you lose a tick. I mean, it's not ideal, but if that's what your team chooses to do, to backline peel with your entire team, you can't be caught out on point alone as Reinhardt.
This might be another King's Row moment. We saw King's Row Quasar getting through almost the entire map on the back of their Bastion trap. We've got El Presidente coming out again, standing on card, and then also Julian going off of the monkey, now onto the Orisa. Is this going to be enough to get through Street Chase? It looks like it is, because Lunamoon comes in with the 2K, taking out the enemy Zenyatta. Not going to be enough for the Capiberas. They're going to have to respawn. They have the time. It is in overtime. It is worth giving the enemy team the extra 10, 15, 20 meters on the payload to come in with a 6 stack of your own. Switch up the team if you need to switch up the team. You don't have to rely on G-Man's ultimate. It might not be able to get a whole lot of value, because the moment he presses Q, Imperi's going to be looking his way.
And it's going to be so hard to deal with Imperi now that you don't have that Moira ult. Before, you could have popped the ult. He was putting it on Bastion, meaning anyone attacking him would get the healing. But now you have to invest so much, and it's so dangerous to get in there.
I love what Roadhog did there. Spyro just throws his body onto the Bastion, says, I don't care what happens, I'm taking this Bastion out. Problem is, Little Spoon walks in with the res, and then takes out Imperi again. Spyro, he pops the whole hog, taking out Imperi, kills him twice in the same team fight. Spyro is putting the entirety of his team on his back, and absolutely decimating the El Presidente. Now, what's important to know there is, and there goes the point, wonderful push by Quasar, but what's important to know is, had Spyro not been able to pop off with that whole hog, I think we would have seen a very different fight. We know Imperi has fantastic tracking. We saw him on the Tracer initially, and he was just essentially one-clipping every squishy he walked into. Really, really great player, very, very smart. And on top of all of that, he has this fantastic tracking ability. Putting him onto the Bastion, especially the Bastion in turret form, he's able to put so much damage in the correct place at the correct time. If Spyro wasn't there to just completely disable the enemy team's Bastion, this would be a very different fight, and I expect that we would still see the payload moving to the end.
Yeah, I cannot agree with you more. It felt like Spyro just absolutely understood that if that Bastion didn't die, they would not win the fight. So does whatever he could, hooked him off initially, then walks in again and kills him. Ultimately end with the Discord on top. So very, very smart play. that's the best example you can get of identifying a win condition and making sure it's done. So Spyro knew, hey, if this doesn't happen, my team loses, and he did whatever it took. He ended up not feeding, but it's worth it. If you feed to identify and eliminate a win condition, it's okay if you die. Hopefully your team will clean up, but you did more than your fair share in making sure that the most important part of a team is now out of the fight.
And now G-Man taking a very interesting turn here. He is now on the Sombra. By the way, that is an attack Sombra. It is not incorrect to do this. You have so many health packs at your disposal. You've got the Mega behind the point, and then of course you've got Cafe with the Mini. Is it going to work out here? It is looking good. Kills are being traded though. It's a 5v5. Is G-Man going to be able to get any value here? Where's that hack? It's coming off cooldown. I wonder where it's going next. Certainly not onto the Moira. She's out of the way. Jameson is able to get a kill onto Lulu, but again, we're seeing these kills being traded back and forth. I don't know how much value G-Man is getting out of this positioning here. He needs to be rotating. He needs to get into some sort of position where he can do more consistent damage. He is able to push the enemy team off the point. That might be enough here. Taking out the Zenyatta as he tried to escape. That is huge for G-Man.
And here's the thing. If you're Sombra and you hack Moira, and for her to avoid it, she uses shift, you might as well have just hacked her, because like we said, most important part of Moira's kit to stay alive is that shift ability. So she will still have the healing orb, but you have a diva on your side. So forcing out the shift and then eating her orb is basically like hacking her. It takes away everything that a hack would. So we're still seeing the value, even if the hack doesn't come off. If you're forcing that Moira to use her shift, you basically just got the value of hack for a 2-second cooldown rather than a 6.
Absolutely, and G-Man, it was very interesting. I don't know who was planned. G-Man was holding inside of Cafe, and he wasn't getting too much value until his tank started funneling everybody towards him, just like what's done again here. G-Man getting a fatty EMP, and the rest of his team is going to be able to follow up here. That EMP was huge. Must have gotten at least 5, potentially 6, and G-Man is showing what he's able to do. But looking back on the Cafe, he was in a great position. Once Quasar started to get low, they started to get funneled into Cafe by the rest of the Capiberas, and that's exactly what G-Man wanted to see. He had that positioning to just kill anybody who walked by him, and then of course we saw that Feta EMP coming out as a result. Getting a hack on the Mercy is huge. She's not able to use her Guardian Angel. Is this going to be a kill? Yes,
wow.
Is taken out. G-Man is showing us what he can do on Sombra, and I'm going to tell you right now, it's a lot.
The amount of value he's gotten out of this pick, he's showing us just how strong new Sombra is with her more consistent hack and more importantly her higher damage. Just I'm lost for words. The amount of value he managed to squeeze out of this Sombra was so amazing on this attack. I don't know if it's enough to say he necessarily carried, but he did more than his fair share of work on the team.
Yeah, and you know, at the end of the day, the Cabyberas are winning this point, and they're winning it very convincingly. Still 30 seconds left until overtime hits, but it looks like it's not going to matter because they are able to cap point. What an incredible match. Cabybera is answering with the quad tank into the triple tank, into the Sombra attack comp, and I gotta tell you, Dancer, I am thrilled with everything the Cabyberas just showed us. They showed us that they are a legitimate team who's able to not just respond to what the enemy team's doing. They're able to respond and then force the enemy team into a position where they just can't win. It felt like the Cabyberas were unstoppable there.
Just Cabyberas, I'm almost afraid that they've just been listening to us and they wanted to show us wrong. Because everything we said that they needed to fix, it felt like they fixed it in those last 2 maps. Dorado and Hollywood.
And that was incredible to watch.
Absolutely. When you have a team that gets that much value without using ults. So, to me, that's how you judge a good team. How good are they when they're not using ults? So Quasar on Dorado was so dominant. Even when they were swapping, they never had the chance to build an ult economy because they swapped 5 out of 6 of their characters after taking 1 point. But they still had 2 very dominant fights just because they don't need that ult economy. They know what their comp is going to do, and they do it. So those last 2 maps of the Cabyberas, that's exactly what it was like. It just felt like they knew exactly what they should do. The harass coming out from G-Man, especially on that Sombra, so much bigger. He got the hack onto Mercy when she kind of missed her Guardian Angel, and then just cleaned up the kill absolutely by himself because she was very far out of position. that's so big, gets the massive EMP. Those they're individual plays, but they feed into the team value that you're getting out of your comp. Those were so much bigger, and it just felt like, hey, we understand what this comp's doing. We're going to group up. We're going to stick together. We're going to peel for each other, and we're going to win this game. And they definitely came to show up on those last 2 maps.
I couldn't agree more with you, Dancer. That was so fun to watch, and I loved being proven wrong by G-Man. I was a little bit hesitant about that choice onto the Sombra. Going on attack, yeah, you had 3.5 minutes left, but it was a really ballsy choice. And what shone through the entire time on that last attack there was not just the Sombra pick, but how the rest of the Cabyberas were able to funnel the enemy team into positions where the Sombra made sense. So it's not just that it was a good pick, it's that the Cabyberas were able to have that pick make sense with the rest of the team. Really fantastic matches there. Congratulations to both Quasar and, of course, the Capyberas for putting on a fantastic show for us. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to Horizon Overwatch. Remember, we do cast scrims every Sunday and Tuesday, usually right around 8 p.m. Unless, of course, it's on the North American server. Then you should expect us to start closer to 8:15, 8:30. I wish I could control that a little bit better, but you know how NA is. And then, of course, we have a few tournaments coming up. We actually have several tournaments coming up, both for teams and individuals. So if you have any questions about that, remember, Horizon Discord is open, it is available, and we are accepting new members. Please let us know. We are happy to bring you in and get something started that's really special here. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. For everybody at Horizon Discord, for my wonderful co-host Dancer, I am Marginer, and have a wonderful night.